There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Order. Please be seated. Speaker? Speaker? Madam Speaker?
Where is the person who's calling me?
I'm here.
Yes, Honorable Mazzoni.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for recognizing me. Madam Speaker, I rise on Rule 91. Madam Speaker, 5 ministers have claimed not to have been in possession or have seen the Gupta emails. Chair, I'd therefore like to, through the parliamentary staff, hand up copies of the parliamentary emails to them. And Speaker, as a courtesy, I'll be handing up a copy of the emails for
Honorable
you too. Thank you very
Member,
much.
thank you very much. But really, we have only one item on the order paper. Order, honorable members. I wish to announce that the vacancy which occurred in the National Assembly owing to the retirement of Mr. M.A. Mwango has been filled by the nomination of Mr. Kolani Ngwezi with effect from the 15th June 2017. The honorable member has made and subscribed the oath in the Deputy Speaker's office, and the honorable member is welcome to this vibrant National Assembly. Honorable members, the first item on today's order paper is questions addressed to the President. And of course, the honorable members know, in particular, I will address myself to the new member. You may press the talk button on your desk if you wish to ask a supplementary question. Honorable members, before we proceed with questions, I would like to bring to your attention that in terms of Rule 1415, question number 7 was approved as an urgent question for today's question session. As a result, the question will take precedence over all other questions. The question has been asked by the Honorable, the Leader of the Opposition. The Honorable, the President.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the economy has moved into a technical recession measured by 2 consecutive quarters of a decline in GDP. This situation is of serious concern to government, given the impact on our economy and also directly on our people. It is also worth highlighting that the economy, however, expanded by 0.6% on a year-on-year comparison between the first quarter of 2016 and the first quarter of 2017. South Africa is part of the global economy where countries across the world have been struggling for growth and recovery from the financial crisis of 2008. In order to ensure that we can turn the economy around in the shortest possible time, we are drawing on the experience of 2008 and 2009, when the economy had previously been in recession. Top of our priorities will be to fast-track the implementation of pro-growth measures and structural reforms. We are working to reignite growth informed by the 9-point plan we launched recently. The interventions include the areas of energy, manufacturing, transport, telecommunications, water, tourism, the ocean economy, mining, agriculture, and the Industrial Policy Action Plan, as well as managing workplace conflict. We are also improving our exports to the rest of the continent and reclaiming parts of the domestic market. Microeconomic reform, together with ensuring more local spend by government, will also assist. Unblocking new investment and ensuring better coordination across the range of economic policy instruments available to the state and with our socio partners will be important. There are a few initiatives that I will highlight. First, we must boost the rate of investment in the economy. An example of our efforts is the one-stop shop in the form of Invest South Africa that has been launched recently. Second, we need to boost investment in infrastructure. The last cabinet, Lekgotla, received a report on a road maintenance program that provides livelihoods and incomes to about 40,000 people in KwaZulu-Natal, largely women-headed households. Our focus will be to massify more of the infrastructure delivery program. Third, we need to speed up competition in the economy. The competition authorities are currently embarking on far-reaching investigations of various markets, ranging from healthcare to transport and grocery retail. These markets inquiries will help to ensure that more dynamic markets can emerge in key sectors of the economy. Fourth, we are speeding up efforts to ensure regulatory certainty. This will include areas such as spectrum allocation, the independent power producer procurement programs, and land reform, so that investors have greater clarity on what public policy expectations and resources are. Companies, so that they are able to produce key utilities to the economy on a reliable and cost-effective basis. Fifth, we are deepening the effort at social partnership. The honorable member would have seen the results of these efforts from the broad agreement on a national minimum wage, more efforts to build partnership with business and labor will be pursued. These efforts, together with measures to boost youth employment and deepen trade relations with the rest of the continent, will form part of our coordinated package to keep the technical recession as short as possible and to reignite economic growth. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable, the Leader of the Opposition.
I'm glad you are here while Mr. Gupta is overseas, but the recent release by Minister Zwane of the new mining charter has caused huge uncertainty in the markets, and in fact, without doubt has been condemned by organized business, organized labor, and civil society. There's been a near unanimous view that the charter will lead to more disinvestment and job distraction in the mining sector, making our current recession even worse. See, the rand has slumped, rating agencies have warned against further downgrades, and even the NUM has said they're considering taking the matter to court. Your own party have said that they did not see this version of the charter that was tabled and therefore request for an explanation from Minister Zwane. I would like to know, Mr. President, do you in fact, endorse this current version of the charter released by the Minister from Saxon World? Thank you.
The Honorable, the President.
On a point of order. On a point of order, Madam Speaker.
There is a point of order, Honorable President. Maybe you might take a seat briefly.
All right.
Honorable
The not so honorable Leader of the Opposition has referred to the Minister of Minerals as the Minister from Saxon World. I think that it is unparliamentary according to Rule 84. Thank you.
Okay. Speaker, may I address you?
Honorable Waters.
Yes. Thank you, Speaker.
Do you know where the Honorable the Minister comes from Saxon World or not?
No, I'm rising on the point of order under Rule 92.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
I've given you an
The
opportunity.
Honourable Whip from the ANC has just called the Leader of the Official Opposition not so honourable, which in itself is dishonourable or unhonourable, and you should withdraw that. Everyone in this House is honourable.
I would like the Honorable first to start with the Honorable the Minister being called a Minister from Saxon World. Would the Honorable the Leader of the Opposition please withdraw that?
I withdraw. I'd like to know if the President endorses the new charter tabled by Minister Zwane.
Okay. Honorable Khatebe, I'd like you to withdraw saying the Honorable the Minister, the Leader of the Opposition is not honorable.
In fact, I withdraw.
Okay, the Honorable the President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker. Yes, I believe, firstly, the Minister gave the briefing and consultation, including the Cabinet. And what the Minister is doing has been approved by the Cabinet. And secondly, we have said we need to do something to change the economy, to ensure that we ignite the economy. We could not stay at the same place without being innovative about the economy, particularly mining. Mining has been there for centuries in South Africa. There has been booms and decline of the economy with the mining being there. There hasn't been a visible change in making the mine as a key sector in the economy of this country to change and work differently to support the economy. So the mining has been there for many years. Whether there was a recession, it's not the first time that you have it, the technical one, it has been there as the economy has been going up and down. So there's nothing new, and we couldn't wait because we have said, what can we do to boost the economy? What the minister has done is to say, how do we change the manner in which the ownership of the mines is, particularly opening it to those who have never participated. It cannot be an action that will actually bring the mining down. If you are working very clearly, you have a clear strategy, what you are doing. I believe this is going to bring about change in mining, including everything, the production or whatever, and the ownership. So I believe in what the minister has done.
The Honorable Hlengwa.
Promised 500,000 new jobs. The economy that year lost 1 million jobs. Subsequently, year on year, none of your promises have come to life. Young people bear the brutal brunt, yield the results that they need in order for them to get jobs. Because the current situation is untenable, and you cannot have a situation where unemployment now stands with over 9 million people unemployed, and you continue as business as usual. We have heard the refrains you have given us today before. We cannot hear them again in the absence of practical action steps to implement and turn the situation around. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Firstly, I've just talked about what the Minister of Mine has done. And this is not a repetition of what we've been saying all the time. Something new that some of you are skeptical about is new. I've not repeated what I've said before, and I've talked about measures that have been taken that has helped us for the economy to move in the manner in which it has moved. What we also don't agree, because when you ask your questions, you fail to understand where South Africa comes from. South Africa has had the kind of policies and everything different from any other country in the world, wherein the majority were excluded. So whilst we are dealing with the common global issues, we are also dealing with a very peculiar history of this country. That is the problem which all of you don't look at. You think we are just moving like any other country. We come from apartheid where laws, tendencies, practice, everything excluded the majority. And up to now, if you calculate unemployment in this country, and you forget that fact, you are not being factual into the South African situation. That is the problem you have. We are very conscious of what we are doing. We know what we are dealing with. I'm sure our diagnosis of the South African history is not the same. And that's why you ask questions from a different kind of an angle. What we are dealing with, we know what we are dealing with. We know why we face the problems we are facing, and we have solutions to those problems. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Fabs.
Honourable Speaker, Mr. President, thank you very much for your response and the interventions that you have outlined to address the economic slowdown, which we saw again in 2008-2009, and which at that time you engaged with social stakeholders and the rest, which slowed it down. But with specific respect to the higher value a higher value addition in the Industrial Policy Action Plan, the value addition along the mining, the manufacturing beneficiation chain. Perhaps you can share with this House how we can increase job creation, but also how can we expedite the establishment of an export-import trade bank. Thank you, Mr. President.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The kind of interventions I've just listed here as I was answering the question for the first indicates the kind of interventions we are making. And these interventions will certainly deal with the issues of labor and also deal with the issues of how we trade with other countries globally, particularly the continent of Africa as well. So these measures are aimed at intervening to those very issues. And we are very hopeful that what we are doing is absolutely going to make us turn our economy around. That is what we are doing. We think that we know what we are looking for. We have meetings. I've just met some of the ministers at the economic level to discuss the specific things as to what is it that we can do to boost the economy. So I am very positive that we are going to come out of this technical recession quicker than we believe. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Carter.
Thank you, Speaker. The last time South Africa fell into recession in 2009, it was because of a global financial crisis. This time around, economists, business, and executives agree the cause is a person, and that person is the President. There is no other factor to explain the recession. The only factor is the political shenanigans, policy uncertainty, and the lack of leadership, which has hollowed out confidence both in the consumer and the investment community. President, your oath of office, Mr. Zuma, as President of the Republic, requires you to be faithful to the Republic and to promote all that will advance the Republic, oppose all that may harm it, and devote yourself to the well-being of the Republic and all of its people. Now, do you accept your culpability in bringing us to a recession and that you have violated your oath of office? And can you provide South Africa and this House with substantial reasons why you believe you are the right person to be the President of our country? Thank you.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Firstly, I'm not sure how much members appreciate the global situation, particularly when it comes to ratings. There are a number of countries that have been downgraded. South Africa is not the only one. There are a number of countries that have been downgraded. Now, I don't know what is wrong in those countries. Is it a leader, or is it because of the economic situation, or whatever? The manner in which you discuss South Africa, you discuss it as if it's the only country that has been downgraded. You also not look at what has happened to the economy of South Africa before 1994, after 1994, as a result of the policies that were followed before. Secondly, Jacob Zuma did not say, I think I'm a good leader. He was elected by the majority of this country as a leader that can lead South Africa. And that is the fact. That is the reality. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, we now come to question number 8, asked by the Honorable the Reverend Mishwe. The Honorable the President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Law enforcement agencies have a responsibility to investigate all allegations of criminality in the country. They must therefore be afforded space to deal with the matter as they deem fit and in terms of the law. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Reverend Mishwe.
Thank you, Speaker. Like most South Africans, the ACDP is very disappointed that despite increasing evidence of corruption at all levels, including within SOEs, and that the looting of state resources is taking place, we do not see any concrete action from the presidency. The chairman of PRASA, Mr. Popo Molefe, has even taken the Hawks to court to force them to finalize their 2-year-long probe into corruption and irregular expenditure, totaling over 14 billion rands. What I want to know is, will the president support the PRASA case against the Hawks, who are allegedly reluctant to complete their investigation into corrupt and irregular expenditure at PRASA? Additionally, before any commission of inquiry takes place, will the president also ensure that the Hawks urgently complete their investigations into serious allegations of criminality referred to by the former public protector in her state of capture report? This to ensure that the president is seen to be serious about fighting corruption on all levels, especially the looting of state resources that should be used to address the needs of the poor. If the president is asked to give an example of one concrete action he has taken to fight corruption in the country, what action he has taken, what example would the president give to the country?
The Honorable, the President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Firstly, I don't agree with the Honorable Member that most South Africans, have the view that he expresses. It would have been good if he says some South Africans. Well, that's an exaggeration. That's an exaggeration. There's no testing that has been made. It's just a political exaggeration. Secondly, you contradict yourself. You say no action is taken, but you say action has been taken. The only complaint about it in PRASA is that it is not concluded. But you start by saying no action is taken. But you then ask questions about an action that has been taken, that the chairperson of the board is now complaining to the Hawks that the action is not completed, after having said no action is taken. And you say, can you definitely mention one? You are just talking about it in PRASA. There's been an investigation. Just politicking, of course, as an opposition. What else can you do, actually? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Kubisa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Msholozi, it's clear that every weekend, starting from Friday upward up to Sunday, we are bombarded with emails with regard to the state capture, occurring in various departments from the Guptas, etc. It is clear that this is denting the image of the country, or it has been dented severely. And if it goes unchecked, it's really doing a country some harm. For instance, with regard to investment, credibility, integrity, etc. Would you say, Honorable President, it is urgent to harness this so that it does not dent the country even further? Because come Sunday, come Saturday, we are going to be bombarded with other emails. Just recently, we had the Guptas from Mineral Resources, the bank. Who knows, something from, with regard to land that was stolen, etc., is going to come. A lot is in the pipeline. As we speak, there will be emails coming. What else do you think, Mr. President, it's urgent to harness this as speed as possible to restore the image of the country? Because it is the image and the integrity of the country that is at stake. Your Excellency.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Firstly, the very fact that if things, or if there are emails or whatever, and every Sunday they are up there. It indicates how transparent the country is. In other countries, you don't see such things being revealed. It's an important point to make. Secondly, the emails sitting here, I don't know where they come from. I don't know how authentic they are. They've never been tested in any institutions. What we have done as part of the measures to deal with the matter, we have taken a decision to establish the Judicial Commission of Inquiry, and the emails will be part of that. So we are not leaving them unattended to. Then we will be able to speak about the emails with a serious scientific investigation, which will tell us exactly what happened and to what extent are they disrupting the life of South Africans. So in a sense, those are covered in the inquiry that is going to be made. And we are moving as fast as possible to establish the commission. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Before I go to the next supplementary question, honorable members, I'd like to remind you that according to Rule 1427, a supplementary question may not consist of more than one question. One. The Honorable Maimane.
Mr. Zuma, when I laid charges against you, it has now taken the National Prosecuting Authority 1,200 days to investigate. Now, when Mr. Ngasana did not do his job in the interest of transparency and accountability, when he didn't do his job, you dismissed him. I would like to know, is it acceptable for the National Prosecuting Authority to take 1,200 days to investigate a matter on the charges of corruption I laid against you in terms of your involvement in the Nkandla saga, if we're interested in accountability? Thank you very much.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Madam Honorable Speaker. I think the honorable member is asking the wrong person the question. Firstly, he did not place the charges to me to investigate. What the NPA is doing, I don't know. What makes them to take so many days, how can I know? That's not my task.
So you don't know, you don't care. Can they care?
I didn't say I don't care. I said I don't know because I'm not working there.
Order.
You could have asked the person where you place the charge. Go and ask why this is taking too long. Why do you ask me? I'm not investigating. You made the charges. You should go to where you made the charges and say why these charges are taking long. You ask a wrong person. Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Singh.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable President, allegations of state capture occupy center stage at the moment, and I think it's public knowledge. This Parliament, through a number of its portfolio committee structures, are now seized with this matter, and a thorough scrutinization of the Gupta leaks email tranches will shortly begin in earnest. In fact, they've already begun. Honorable President, Rome is burning, and you, sir, and let me take a hint from your response to Reverend Michaud, some might say appear to be fiddling and appearing only lukewarm on what are serious allegations of state capture. Radical economic transformation, as unpacked recently by the Honorable Deputy President, I think yesterday, when he spoke at the Gordon Institute of Business, he said has great merit in creating ways to boost inclusive growth and promote wide-scale economic growth in a realistic manner. My question, Honorable President, is this. Moving forward, how will you, sir, ensure that radical economic transformation remains untainted by the hands of the state capture elite. I thank you.
The Honorable, the President.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Well, I thought that the issue of the state capture had an opportunity to be investigated by the former public protector. And just a few days before she left, she produced a report. In view of some of the people that are mentioned in the report, and this is now not allowing the Rome to burn and you see to do nothing. The former public protector investigated. That was something being done. Some of the aspects of the report have been taken to review. So there's never been quietness. It can't be correct to say, why the Rome is burning, then people are just sitting. And then the new public protector is also attending to that report. And secondly, you say the parliament itself is discussing the matter. So this important institution is also doing something. So it's not as if Rome is burning, people are just sitting. And the president has taken a decision to establish the Judiciary Commission of Inquiry and is about to announce when it will start. So it's not as if the Rome is burning, nothing is happening. Many things are happening, Honorable Member. And we are therefore taking the report seriously. And indeed, at the right time, when the institutions have investigated, we'll certainly come to know about who is burning the Rome. Now, one of the interesting thing is that if, because there is a what you call capture kind of situation, how many institutions should investigate and which will be the one that will produce the good results? The public protector is doing something, right? There's going to be a Judicial Commission of Inquiry, but there's going to be also Parliament. I am interested to know which of all of these will really produce the report that will all say this is a report with the kind of findings and recommendations that they have instruments to implement. As one of the problems, I would be very keen to know, how are we dealing with this matter? Is it a matter to be tackled by everybody? Who then, what results? If the results are three are different, which one will be implemented? I think it's a matter that we all have to look at so that we get the real investigation that will make us take action at the end. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
We now come to question number 9 from the Honorable Ngwenya Mabila. The Honorable, the President.
Honorable Speaker, government has a number of programs to transform the rural economy. These include agricultural parks, the strengthening of relative rights program, and the 1 household 1 hectare and 1 household 2 dairy cows program. The agricultural parks program, for instance, seeks to improve production by smallholder farmers, access to markets, finance and research, and engagement in the whole agricultural value chain. It is designed to promote collaboration between government, the private sector, and rural communities. The strengthening of relative rights program seeks to secure the land rights and residential tenure of the farm dweller or farm worker, empower people working the land to acquire majority equity holdings in farming enterprises and bring about economic transformation of the agricultural sector. In this program too, government works closely with all the stakeholders involved. The One Household, 1 Hectare program and One Household 2 Dairy Cows program, is intended to improve production and food security at households level in order to contribute to the increase in the number of smallholder farmers. The collaboration of stakeholders is also evident in programs such as the electrification of rural communities through the Integrated National Electrification Program, the provision of the broadband intent services program, which connects schools, clinics, and other government buildings to broadband, and the provision of water and sanitation infrastructure in rural communities. One of the successful programs is the Water Services Infrastructure Grant, which prioritizes 27 poor district municipalities, and the Regional Bulk Infrastructure Grant, which focuses on smaller communities. There are also conditional grants such as the Comprehensive Agriculture Support Program that helps in ensuring inclusive growth in the rural economy and has benefited many rural communities through job creation. Since inception, the Comprehensive Agricultural Support Program has been allocated about 9.6 billion rand to deliver comprehensive support services to subsistence, smallholder, and emerging black commercial farmers. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Ngwenya Mabila.
Ngiyabonga Somlomo, Mongameli ohloniphekile. Ngicabanga ukuthi yonke lemiklamo oyibalile the programs izodinga umhlaba. Ngakho ke yini okwenziwa uhulumeni ukuqinisekisa ukuthi abantu bathola umhlaba ngokusheshsha, njengaloku sibonile ukuthi izindlela esizisebenzisayo manje ukubuyisela umhlaba kubaniniyo zihamba kancane. Ngiyabonga.
The Honorable the President.
Siyabonga Somlo. Kuyiqiniso ukuthi kuna inhlelo zokuzama ukuthi umhlaba ulungiswe zokuthi ubuye, kodwa futhi kuyiqiniso ukuthi kuyabonakala ukuthi lezi indlela azikwazanga ukuthi kulamashumi amabili eminyaka neminyaka emithathu zobuyisa umhlaba ugcwale uthi swi kuphela ukukhala kwabantu. Ingakho nje udaba lomhlaba seliphinde futhi laba indaba mlonyeni ukuthi kuzokwenziwa kanjani ukuthi ubuye umhlaba. Kukhona futhi nokuthi ngendlela owabuya ngayo kukhona ezinye izinto mhlawumbe singazenzanga kahle, njengokuthi nje kwathiwa uma kubuya umhlaba abantu abakhethe noma bafuna wona umhlaba noma bafuna isamba semali. Abantu abaningi uma bezwa imali ibizwa ngegidi baye bafuna ukuthi hayi sifuna imali, kanti uma isihlukaniswe phakathi umphakathi ngenkathi sebeyithola le mali kusuka hayi sekuzinkulungwanyana nje ezimbalo engasho lutho ke sesiyalibona lelo phuthu ukuthi ngempela senze iphutha ngoba phela umhlaba ifa likanguna phakade imali ifika namhlanje idlule kusasa sifuna ukukulungisa ke nalokho ngoba nakho kube okunye okube ubuthakathakana indlela esiyenze ngayo uma usuphethe umhlaba ezandleni zakho akufanele udedele ngoba sekuyifa lezizukulwane nezizukulwane sikhona ke futhi nento yokuthi asishintshe indlela yomhlaba ngoba kubalekile ukuthi umhlaba ubuyele kulabo ababekade bewuphethe hayi ukuthi baphucwe labo abawuphetheyo yonke into kusetshenziswa umthetho kusetshenziswa nomthetho sisekelo ukuthi ababe nawo phela nabo umhlaba bonke abantu kungabi khona abaphethe izwe lonke abanye bengenalutho izinto ke lezi ezisaxoxwa engicabangayo ukuthi njengoba nje ngisho iqembu eliphetheyo liya engqungqutheleni yalo lapho khona elizobe libheka inqubomgomo zabo lizobheka nalokho ukuthi sithini kulumbandela ngiyethemba ukuthi butembuduze nje kuyotholakala ukuthi ikhambi liphi ngoba sikwazi ukuthi singakulungisi lokho ngoba ikhona phela kuyinxeba elikhulu elijulile elidala elifuna ukulungiswa elifuna ukwelashwa udaba lomhlaba kodwa kwenziwe lokho ngendlela evunyelwa umthetho kanye nomthetho sisekelo ngeke sihlale singakulungisi lokho ngoba kuyohlala kuyisilonda esiyokwenza ukuthi abanye bahlale benezikhalo njalo sifisa ukuthi kube khona ukuvumelana uma selixoxa lolu daba ngoba kufanele ukuthi luxoxwe ngendluzula kufanele baxoxwe ngesihle ngoba lufuna ukuthi kube khona ukuhlalisana kulolonke izwe siyabonga somlomo
The Honorable Carter.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I just got a little bit lost here. Oh my word, what have I just done? Yeah. Sorry, Speaker. Mr. Zuma, far from helping to build a new class of black commercial farmers who own their own farm and thus advance our rural socio-economically, the ANC seems intent on using the apartheid land injustice to bring even more land into state ownership and control. It also means, as the IRR put it, that the ANC's land reform program is essentially a fraud. It plays on black unemployment and resulting poverty, exaggerates the extent of land hunger, and seeks to build up anger and racial polarization around the land issue. And at the same time, it denies ownership of redistributed land to black farmers, including those who very much want to operate on a commercial scale. Despite the repeated objections of black farmers, the state land leases and disposal policy adopted in 2013 reaffirms that land acquired for redistribution will be leased but not sold to black farmers. Now, what is your response to the assertion that your aims are not to redress apartheid wrongs or counter poverty, but rather to turn all emergent farmers and, in time, all commercial ones into tenants of a state?
The Honorable the President.
Ngiyabonga. Oh, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Now, firstly, I think we should accept the fact that the matter of the land has to be attended to properly with the satisfaction of many. Unfortunately, and as of course I agree responsibly, the fact of the matter is that the only person who could help deal with this matter is government. And if the government, for an example, because it's not saying let us take the land by force, it's saying let us buy the land. This is what we've been doing. Nobody else can buy the land except the government. and the government buys the land to its position so that it can be properly distributed to the right people. The issue of ownership and leasing is an issue that is going to be ongoing for quite a while. Because again, let us suppose, for argument's sake, you say to black people, you are not going to own the land, we are going to lease it to forever. You are saying, whilst other South Africans have a right to own the farmers, you, because of your color, you don't have. This is a process that is taking us to some place to say you can lease it. Even if you lease it longer, rather than, at the moment, I think the leasing that is being proposed is very short. It's part of what we are doing to deal with this important issue of the land. At some point, we'll have to settle this land. And every South African, at the right moment, will have a right to own the land. At the moment, the people who are given the land, that's why it is bought by government, because they don't have the money. But those who own the land now, they have been gaining profits from the land all the time. Rather than to talk about those matters, we are then saying, for now, lease it so that you can begin to establish yourself as a commercial farmer. And I'm sure that issue will arise again. Should I lease the land forever? Or if I am in a position now to buy the land, because I've made use of the farmer that I've been given, I now have the money. Why can't I say, I now want to negotiate to buy it? That time I don't think has come. We are dealing with the problem, the manner in which we are dealing with it, in a fair way, in a very transparent way. So the matter of land will have to be resolved finally at the end. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Maimane.
Mr. Zuma, the term radical economic transformation and white monopoly capital are terms that were invented by Bell Pottinger, a PR firm in London. And in fact, they've been shown that these are terms designed to empower a very connected elite at the expense of building an economy that includes more South Africans, black South Africans, particularly people in rural communities. And Mr. President, unemployment in rural communities has in fact risen under your presidency. Now, instead of listening to London and Bell Pottinger, surely it would be to your benefit to listen to rather King Goodwill Zwelithini on what he proposes to empower rural citizens. In fact, he says that Goodwill Zwelithini says that to give South Africans secure title deeds for their own land is the best way to empower them. Would your government support this statement and put programs to assist, or listen to Bell Pottinger and you assist?
The Honorable, the President.
Don't raise things that are controversial. You use the words that come from London in the whole speech that we've made now, English. You say other people should not use those words. Supporting the king, that's to ring out who support the king. You speak English, you take it from England. These are the words. There's no difference. Radical economic, if it comes from London, what you are saying comes from London. Why do you use it? If other people must not use that language. My babo. Hey. Mr. My Man. Mr. My Man. We are dealing with the content, not the language. Radical economic transformation means you change the economy from the manner in which they are operating, deal with it in such a way that they're able to address the needs of the country for all South Africans. At the moment, they are not. You need to be radical to bring that change. Exactly. And this is in English, just like the English you are speaking. There's no harm about it. We speak English, unless you want me to say it in Zulu. No. I am in government. We have a policy to deal with these matters. We have a policy as the ANC about the land issue. And we are dealing with that. I don't need to support anyone. I need to deal with the policy that is going to make us achieve a particular point. If what the king of the Zulus is saying the land must come back, of course. No, don't fit me with your words. Don't fit me with your English words from London. Please, don't. Once, if that settles the problem and that the land should come back, the issue of how it is going to be resolved down the line. At the moment, other people in South Africa have title deeds, others don't have. People, for an example, under the king, don't have a title deeds, the majority of them. No, musungungifunza amazwi mfana kithi. Musukungifunza. Ngimdala mangingaka ngiyona ngana ngifuna ukufunzwa. Musa ukungifunza amazwi. Ngithi isilo abantu abaphila ngaphansi kwesilo. Iningi labo alinama title deeds. Abanye abantu kodwa abangaphansi kwezwe lesilo banama title deeds. Bahlukaniswa yini labantu? Why bangafani? Yiphi okuyona into ne-advantage phakathi kwalezi zombili? Iking ikhuluma phansi kwaleso simo ukuthi icabanga ukuthi akwenzekeni. Ayidukile mayisho njalo. Izama ukuthi sisombululo sini esizosithola esokwenza ukuthi abantu baphathe umhlaba ngendlela elinganayo. Ngingathini ungayisupport lonto ngoba umhlaba vela ukho nalo umhlaba nokhona mncane. Ngingathini ungayisupport? Usungizwile. Asiphume engilandile engisikhuluma siphuma kaZulu. Mageba lengumshaya. Ngiyabonga mphatho.
The Honorable Cebekulu.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable President, regarding an establishment of enterprises and industrial development in the various agri-value chain, such as one home, one hectare, one family program, which currently addresses the subsistence farming needs, Mr. President. Do you, Honourable President, regard these programs as a final means and attempt to emancipate struggling rural communities from migrating from rural areas into towns and cities? What other processes are you, do you have in place to fast track the revival of agriculture and agro-processing in our rural communities? President, thank you.
The Honourable the President.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. These are the beginnings of tackling the problem that faces the rural areas that I've mentioned here. They are not the only solutions. You are aware that in our economic programs, we are talking about rural economy to be developed. When we talk about rural economy, we are not talking about one garden to a person. We are talking about developing the economy in the rural areas, which will include, among others, the agriculture. So this is but a part of what we think we need to do to try to ignite economic activities as seen from each kind of, not community, but household. But that's not developing the economy in a bigger scale. We are saying there are programs for us to develop the economy, which we call the rural economy and township economy, so that there is economy. So it's not the beginning and the end. It's one measure that we are taking as a kind of taking a first step to make all households to be active, to be able to look after itself. That is what we are doing. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
We now come to question number 10, asked by the Honorable, the Leader of the Opposition, the Honorable, the President.
No, it come
On a point of order. Speaker, on a point of order.
Who's raising a point of order?
This side.
Yes, Honorable Member.
I'm humbly requesting the President not to call our leader Mfan. He's not Mfan, he's an honorable member. Or we can say the President coming.
Well, I won't speak for the President. The Honorable, the President.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Yes, government is still intent on pursuing the nuclear new build program at a pace and scale
On a point of order, Speaker.
that the country can afford as part of the general.
Honorable President, please take a seat. Actually, the word mfanagiti in this context does not mean what you think.
No.
However,
he said mfana
however, no, don't get into my mouth. I'm still talking. I will ask the President to please, in view of the way the word has been interpreted by the Honorable the member of the DA, the President to withdraw the word mfana.
Point of order, Chair, just before you do that.
Can I finish with this particular point of order first?
Related to that.
And then we will come back to your point of order, Honorable
Related.
Nkona Mashabane. The Honorable, the President.
Ngesizulu uma usho njalo umthuku umuntu. Kodwa ke uma ilunga ehloniphekile lingakuthandi lokho awungeke ngiliphikise ngiyalihoxisa kalula nje. Aha.
Thank you, Honorable President. Please proceed with the answer.
Yes, government is still intent on pursuing the nuclear new build program at a pace and scale that the country can afford as part of the general energy mix that we are pursuing in order to ensure energy security of the country. The energy mix also includes hydro, solar, coal, wind, and gas. With regard to nuclear, government is committed to a process that is open and transparent, cost-effective, and competitive. The transparent approach to the program will ensure that the risk of any deviation from constitutionally accepted procurement norms is reduced. It is important to note that the court found fault with the process that was followed, especially in tabling the international agreements in preparation for the nuclear new build program. The judgment does not deal with substantive matters pertaining to the country's future energy programs. The nuclear new build program is informed by the Nuclear Energy Policy of 2008, which outlines roles and responsibilities for various nuclear organizations and South Africa's goal to become self-sufficient in all aspects of the use of nuclear technology for peaceful uses. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable, the Leader of the Opposition.
It has become, in fact, the hallmark of your presidency to deny all involvement in hugely controversial and potentially corrupt matters, only for it to emerge much later that you had, in fact, been intimately involved. This occurred in the Nkandla scandal, where you were denied involvement from the beginning, only for it to be later found out that you were, in fact, involved. So, Mongameli, in the same way as in Nkandla, the truth about this nuclear deal will also emerge, whether it's via email or in any other form, it will come out. And so I would like you to tell South Africa and the people of this House on record, will you tell us, Mr. President, and I'd like for you to answer this question carefully. Have you,
Order, honorable members,
or any member of your family received any payment from any person, organization, or government agency, both local and foreign or Russian, related to the nuclear procurement? And if so, what are exactly the details? Thank you.
the Honorable, the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Like the honorable member's question when he asked, he went around. In the first instance, there was nothing that found me involved on the Nkandla matter. So that is not true. That I denied later, it was found that I was never. Even the finding that was made said it was an indirect benefit of the family and me. That's never, there was never, that's a wrong expression put on the record. Nothing was ever found that I was involved in anything, except that it was my house that was being built. That's all. That's the involvement. So I want to correct that, honorable member, because you in a sense, plant things that are not true. Secondly, on your direct question, I know no transaction of anything that you counted involving the member of my family. I know nothing about it. Nothing, nothing, nothing. And I say it now, I will say it in future. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Mabe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. President, will you agree with me if I were to say that the nuclear energy is environmentally friendly, it is clean, and it is still the most reliable energy mix in terms of turning around the economy and making the lives of our people better? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable, the President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, indeed. It is the cleanest, the most reliable. That's the reason why when, after 1994, we took the decision to get rid of the weapons, dangerous weapons that were made out of it, and took a very conscious decision that we are going to use it for peaceful purposes. We are working on the program of the nuclear, not alone, is a mix of energy kind of resources. Of all of them, it is one of the most reliable. But we are using all of them because Our objective is to have sufficient energy for our country. And we are saying this, by the way, also in support of what we presented to the globe in Copenhagen, when we said we are going to move away from many of the things that we were doing which were polluting the space. And this is part of that process. We need it as much as possible so that we reduce those that pollute the air or the space or the universe. So it is absolutely important. We can't delay it. It is one of those that we promise the world. We are going to create a kind of energy that is safe, that is not doing anything. We are actually implementing our decision on this one. Partly to deliver on energy, but secondly, to deal with the global need of not polluting the space. So it is absolutely important that we come with it. That is why in my response I said, even the court did not deal with the substantive matter of the importance of this energy. It only dealt with the process. The process that was leading up to a position where we would take a decision about who was the best bidder. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
The Honorable Dudley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The ACDP, Honourable President, the ACDP has continued to challenge government over many years regarding nuclear policy and has made it clear that we do not support the building of more nuclear power stations, which would place South Africans under huge constraints financially and affecting services and development. But we're particularly concerned with evidence that it will place future generations in dire straits having to deal with the environmental fallout. And we talk about the waste here in terms of some of the terrible tragedies that have happened around with nuclear. Mr. President, can you tell us the thinking behind cabinet decisions in this regard, which go against global trends and they do not appear to be based on available information? Thank you.
The Honorable the President.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. What I've been saying here is part of the decision of government. It's not my decision alone. That's a decision. That's what we are doing. And secondly, those who are campaigning and saying it will take a lot of money, I think we have said we will, in a sense, build this within the area of the money that we'll have. We are not saying we are going to take all the money and put it there. But the critical point is that once we have completed that program, it will bring a lot of money to the country. So this is a one-sided argument to say it will spend a lot of money. As we build, yes, we'll have to. In any business, there is a capital that builds the business. And the business work hard until it comes to a point where they say it is now reached the even kind of thing, where it is no longer losing anything. And then it begins, yes, breaking even, my friend. Breaking even, my friend. Me and you will form a choir. I didn't tell you because we're not there that day. We'll talk when we leave here. You will do the dancing, I'll do the singing. Thank you very much, my friend. And then the business thereafter will begin to bring profit. This is what the nuclear is going to do. Those who are protesting, they don't reach that point. They only deal with the issue of building it. The fact that thereafter, it will produce and then bring dividends and profits for many thousands of years to come. That's what it will be. So protest, but bear in mind what we are doing with it. Otherwise, if we're to follow that logic of the protesters, we'll start no business. Because we'll say this business building, it is going to eat a lot of money. No, that is really looking at it in a very short kind of distance. It is a business that will help bring money, but also bring the security and the energy in the country. So we support it, we are working on it. That debate does not go very far. It's just a protest of people who had that it create bombs. We are not creating any bomb. We'll never do so with nuclear. It will be used for peace purposes. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Esther Reason.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable President, while the rest of the world spends billions on technology and is succeeding with innovation to generate affordable clean energy, our government rather spent millions on court cases to defend outdated nuclear energy. You just said that it was not your decision alone, but even your Ministerial Advisory Council on Energy recommends that no new nuclear power capacity is required in South Africa. Is it not true that the largest procurement deal ever in the history of this country was specifically engineered so that Russia could emerge as the preferred bidder, and other agendas unknown have been placed ahead of South Africa of this country's best interests? Thank you, sir.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It was not meant for Russia to proceed with its agendas, nor was it made for America or France to proceed with its agendas. It was made for no agenda of any country. It's meant for South Africa. What we do, we want the countries that are having all the technology to deal with it. And these countries will compete so that we will see which one is the best. We have not agreed with any country beforehand. The countries will have to bid, will have to examine that by our scientists, and will take the decision that will favor the country in all respect that are necessary. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
We now come to question number 11, asked by the Honorable Loliwe. The Honorable the President.
Honorable Speaker, the latest report from Statistics South Africa does indicate that the unemployment rate in South Africa increased to 27.7% in the first quarter of 2017 from 26.5% in the previous period, bringing the unemployment rate average to 25.41% for the 2000 to 2017 period. The key reasons for these trends vary, but they are all very much a reflection of the current global economic outlook. Economic growth globally has been very weak since the global financial crisis, which started in 2008. This crisis has contributed to increased unemployment, not only in South Africa, but also in other countries. There are also domestic factors that have contributed to weak economic growth in our case. These include, but are not limited to, the impact of the recent drought, which adversely affected the agricultural sector in particular. It is good that this sector is now recovering well. Even when our economy was growing, it was not absorbing the large number of young people in particular who are looking for employment. Government has introduced several measures since 2009 to reignite economic growth and create jobs. These include the National Development Plan, which outlines several sectors and measures for taking the South African economy to a higher growth path. Government also continues with measures to provide support to affected workers during this period. The Department of Labor continues to implement labor actions and activation programs to support the unemployment fund beneficiaries and job seekers. The department, through the Unemployment Insurance Fund, the UIF, has paid out more than 5 billion rand in the form of income support to unemployed contributors as part of Social Security safety net. The UIF also undertakes a number of skills training programs through the Labor Activation Program to raise the employability prospects of job seekers. The department also administers the training layoff scheme, which is designed to assist companies in distress in order to avoid retrenchments. The Unemployed Insurance Fund benefits have also been increased up in order to provide the much needed relief on a much more improved scale and scope. Our industrial policy continues to offer financial and other forms of support to Black people as part of our transformation programs, such as the Black Industrialist Program. Our competition policy also continues to tackle cartels and the abuse of market power, and to use market inquiries to probe the state of competition in many parts of our economy. We will also be working hard to enter into effective partnerships with the private sector and to enhance the compacts between business, labor, and government. In the National Development Plan, we set the goal of creating 11 million jobs by 2030. This remains the goal that government, business, labor, and all South Africans must focus on to achieve. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Loliwe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Diabulela Mongameli ngempendulo yakho eyanelisayo. I just want to check, President. The youth are the hardest hit. Are there by any chance any programs are directed at alleviating the unemployment of our youth in South Africa? Thank you.
The Honorable President.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, there are numerous programs that focus on the youth, and these have been talked about throughout the country. Even on the National Youth Day, we spoke a lot about these because we wanted to communicate with the youth that there are programs and that they must therefore participate in these programs that seek to address their plight. So there are programs, definitely, and there are some of the programs are working very well already. And some of the program, the youth themselves are in leadership in what they do for themselves. We have emphasized that as youth, they must participate in shaping the future, which belongs to them. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Maimane.
Mongameli, in fact, the question is incorrect. Truth be told, unemployment in South Africa has not remained steady. It's kept going up and up. The reality of it is that today we are at an all-time high as far as unemployment is concerned, and young people are the most affected by it. In truth, Mr. President, 65% of young South Africans of the ages between 15 to 24 are today unemployed. But worse of all, the only young people or young person who has benefited from your government is your own son. In fact, I want to quote for you what you said when you were describing Duduzane. You said, Duduzane is my only son who deals with money. You must help him. Now, I'm here on behalf of the other children in South Africa who are not...
Point of order, Speaker.
There's a point of order.
Speaker, I want to...
Please take your seat, Honorable President and Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
I'm rising
There's
on...
a point of order.
I'm rising on rule number 88, which is about reflections upon judges and certain other holders of public office. And it actually reads to the extent that it says that no member may reflect upon the competency or integrity of a judge, of a superior court, the holder of a public office in a state institution supporting democracy. You wait, referred to in section 194 of the Constitution, or any other holder of an office whose removal from such office is dependent upon a decision of this House. Because in the manner in which the leader of the opposition asks his questions, he actually reflects upon the integrity of the president, whose removal from office depends from all of you who continue to make insinuations upon the office that he occupies. Thank you, Speaker.
Speaker.
I do, Honorable Waters, please let me finish with this point of order. I note the point, and I don't think the point of order should be sustained right now. However, I'm not going to take a final decision now. I want to look at Hansard so that I look very carefully at what the words of the leader of the opposition were. I'd like to now ask the leader of the opposition to continue with his point.
And I quote, Duduzane is my only son who deals with money. You must help him. Now, Mr. President, I'm here to speak on behalf of the Duduzanis who are not politically connected, the young people who are unemployed, who are looking for work. Are you willing to concede here and now that your presidency has only benefited a few and those who are connected to your family, rather than the very millions of young South Africans who are still without work? Can you concede that today that your presidency has failed South Africa's youth?
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Firstly, the unemployment has been growing all over the world. It's not South Africa only. It's not South Africa only because the economy has affected globally. Just to correct that fact. It's not, we have asked you a question, you can't keep on asking a question. Allow me to answer you. Yebo. We need to put that in correctly. Because you put the question as if it is only South Africa that has unemployment growing. Is a global problem that has been accepted by the global leaders as a time bomb to everybody else. It's not a South African problem only. It's a problem that faces the world for a variety of reasons, which we could debate when we have time outside of Parliament. Secondly, to Zani, I've not heard, you let me know that he has ever benefited his business that is involved in from government, where Zuma has participated to say, give him something. Never, I've never done that. He's involved in business in his own accord. And there were circumstances why he had to go to business. He started by working and then later became a business person. And because he's the son of a president, there is no law that says he cannot get involved in business. And I deal with many young people who are successful. Many. If we have never met them, you are an unfortunate South African. We've just met Tutuzani only. Very unfortunate leader. I'm sure even in your own party, there are many young people who are involved. There is a situation that has created the unemployment. It's not created by Tutuzani becoming a business person. It's not. No, we are saying he's the only one who has succeeded, others have not. Not true. There are many factors. You know some of them, for an example. Young people who come out of tertiary institutions today, if they look for employment, do they have the experience? That then exclude them. It's not Tutuzani. It's the situation we have created. And it is complex on a number of factors that you could look at. So it's not true. It's not true. You can't single out a young person, one person, and victimize the person because he's a son of the president. It's not correct. It's not fair. He cannot, I've never assisted him on any issue. He's a businessman. Whoever he does business with, it is his own business. It is his own business. That cannot be me who must now answer how he got into business. Is it correct? Must a son of a president, even if he has opportunities, not take them because he's the son of a president in order to prove a point? I don't think that's correct. You are just being funny to a young man who has gone to school, capacitated himself. He's now in business. You may have a view who is in business with, which is a different matter. You can discuss that differently. But I think you are isolating a young man in South Africa simply because he's the son of a president. I don't think it's fair. It's not. He has the right to become a business in South Africa if he succeeds. Many other sons of mine are not business people, but they are my sons. I think it's unfair to this young man that you talk about it every time. Very much unfair, because you can't produce evidence that I had anything to do with his business. You can't. We are just politicizing it, and I'm saying it's unfair to the young man. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Nkomo.
Honorable Speaker, I think the Honorable of the Opposition Party, this side, Honorable Speaker, I think...
Honorable Member, on what point are you rising?
I'm rising on this point, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Member,
unomona. That's all. Jealous.
Honorable Nkomo.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Order.
Honorable President, I seem to remember that the former advisor to the President's office, once addressing the very matter where he said that the President said he must actually take care of Tutuzani and the Guptas. But he is actually out in the media. But Honorable President, one of the root causes of the persistent levels of unemployment in our country, specifically in South Africa, noting that we have unemployment in other countries as well, is the poor education levels, which create a mismatch of unskilled labor together with insufficient skilled labor. This taken together with our onerous labor laws continues to create unnecessary barriers to entry for new job market entrances. How do you intend to address these issues? And again, Madam Speaker, it was definitely the former advisor who addressed the matter. It's known on the media, the matter of Tutuzani and the Guptas and the president stating that they must be assisted. Thank you.
The Honorable, the President.
You have to produce that evidence to me. Produce it to me. Produce it to me. Well, of course, those factors are important. That's why we have ilunga lakhe hloniphekile selisemhlanganweni asalalela right. Okay. That's why we have conversation between government, labor, business, and civil society to discuss many of the issues you have referred to say what can we do to address those issues so that we can, in a sense, address the question of labor and creation of jobs. So those are the matters we talk about when we meet, because people do have views about many things. For an example, business do entertain a view that the labor laws are very stiff in the country, and the workers believe that's not true. In fact, we have heard the labor kind of conditions in South Africa better than what they were before. So these are matters that relate to the views that come as a result of which space people occupy. So these are ongoing matters. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Carter.
Thank you, Speaker. Just President, the world recovered from the 2009 economic meltdown, and I want to read this to you. Everyone that has shown expansion, Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, Chile, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, even Greece has expanded. The only countries that has gone into a recession is South Africa and Finland. So you can't keep on telling us the story. The fact is, Mr. Zuma, that we are creating insufficient jobs to meet the growing demand. The fact is that according to a new survey, we now have more people on social grants than what is employed. 17.1 million unemployed against 15.5 million employed. Fact is, between 1994 and 2015, jobs in the manufacturing and mining industry has decreased by 20% and 18% respectively. The fact is that the key reason why the unemployment rate has remained relatively constant
Honorable
is because
Carter,
of
your
unsustainable
time for
bloating.
asking a question has expired.
Okay. Well, what do you intend doing about it, Mr. President?
Honorable the President.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. Of course, I don't know where the statistics coming from. There are more countries that have been downgraded. Don't show me your cellular, because your cellular can be given numbers. That's not the issue. I'm telling you that there are more countries that have been downgraded. Just to help you, just do more research, you are going to get to the truth. Secondly, the number of people who we are gaining from the social program in South Africa, the reason why there are many is because many of the majority people were refused education by apartheid. The numbers of people who are illiterate and semi-illiterate, because they were deprived of education, they are more than in any country. That is why there are more people who receive in this program. So it is a historical fact. It's not because the country has failed. It's because the country is addressing the legacy of wrong policies. That is the reality. Some people in other countries, everyone can find a job. In this country, there are people who cannot find a job because they don't have the skills. because of the old policies. This government had nothing to do with that. Instead, this government is trying to correct that wrong. So the numbers, if you just check, you will realize that the numbers are because of our history of apartheid. You can't run away from it. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable President. We now come to question number 12, asked by the Honorable Gallo. The President.
Honorable Speaker, there is no application before the Constitutional Court for my impeachment. The Constitutional Court today has affirmed the separation of powers and outlined what is to be done in matters of this nature. South Africa is a democratic state where the right to protest and the right to approach the courts of law are guaranteed by the Constitution. Section 17 of the Constitution also enshrines the freedom of expression and the right to assemble, demonstrate, and protest. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Gallo.
Honorable President, we all know that you were deployed by the ANC as the head of state and had repeatedly informed this House that you were made by the ANC to be the person you are today. Don't you think it may be for the good of the very ANC that groomed you if you step aside now, and that the only option you have for you to retain your dignity as the President of the Republic is to voluntarily step down without waiting for the ANC to recall you or being removed through the vote of no confidence? Just do it, Honorable President. In honor of O.R. Tambo, Nelson Mandela, Chris Hani, Steve Biko, Solomon Mahlangu, and other selfless struggle icons. Thank you, Honorable President.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I think the honorable member is indeed correct that my political life was made by the ANC. And again, the ANC elected me to be the president. And the ANC, the day it thinks I can't be the president, it will remove me. The ANC has not done so. So I can't do so. I was not made by anybody else except the ANC, nor was I elected to be what I am by anyone but ANC. The ones who say this president must go, you were not there, you were still in the ANC, they never put any effort to make me the president. If anything, they worked hard to try to stop it. So don't worry. Don't even worry about anything. Just sit in peace and rest. Don't worry. Absolutely, there's no problem. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Madisha.
Thank you, Mr. President. What is your response to the South African Council of Churches conclusion in the unburdening report that under your presidency, your government has lost its moral legitimacy to govern, and that this, the fifth parliament of a democratic South Africa, should dissolve and fresh national elections be held to secure a fresh mandate based on acceptable values and on integrity. But then, alternatively, Mr. President, for the sake of the 54 million people of our country, that you must step down, because the poor people are there, they are not employed, they are poor, and because in your realm, there's a great deal of corruption.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The fact that the government or whatever has lost moral something, that is the view of the honorable member. It's not the view of the majority of the 5 million. It's not. The ANC was voted by a huge majority since 1994. That is what it is. What he says is a creation that is being created in the minds of people like himself because they are in opposition. The poor, I'm poor. The honorable member, when he was part of the ANC, he did not see what he sees now. So once he crossed the line, he then sees something which is imaginary, that the people now don't want the ANC. It's him who crossed and then began not to love the ANC. So he should he can talk, as an opposition. What else do you expect? There's no opposition that praises the ruling party. So I'm not surprised by this, and I welcome that you have practiced to be able to criticize the organization that you were ready to die for a few years ago. We have changed. Change your mind. You have a right in democracy to do so. But don't then think we believe in what you're saying. We don't believe in it. We have the support of the people. And if the people were not supporting us, they would have said so. We will not be speaking on their behalf. They haven't said anything. They haven't. I've seen you always standing here, and I say, thank you. What else can we expect? Opposition, opposition, opposition. Otherwise, people will not vote for you if we don't do it. We are doing a job. I respect that. Thank you very much.
Honorable Mulder.
Honorable President, in one of your previous replies just now, you said we should sit back and be happy. I'm afraid if you look at the figures in South Africa, people can't just sit back and be happy. Now, in your replies today, on numerous replies with regard to questions and follow-up questions, every time, whether it was with regard to unemployment, whether it was with regard to recession or growth, or the downgrades, you referred to other countries and things happening in other countries. All I want to say to you is that the citizens of this country do not want to hear about other countries. They want you as the President to give leadership in terms of what we need to do to get out of the crisis in South Africa. The question I would like to ask you with regard to the question that has been asked to you today is the following. The Constitutional Court today indicated that the Honourable Speaker does have a discretion to allow a secret ballot if a motion of no confidence is brought in this House against you in person. I want to ask the Honourable President, if such a secret ballot is being brought to this House, would you support the notion of a secret ballot, yes or no?
Honourable President.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Firstly, you can't isolate South Africa from other countries. The global economic meltdown did not start here in South Africa. It was an impact of it having started in the United States. When you talk economy today, you can no longer take one country and insulate it away from others. And that's a logical thing, that all other countries are going through specific things. You can differentiate, because of the conditions, the level at which those kind of impacts, what percentage do they have? I don't agree with you that you must just talk about South Africa only. Firstly, the meltdown was not started by South Africa. But South Africa must look, therefore, do a comparison, so to speak. So that's very important. Therefore, in my replies, I'm dealing with the actual facts of what has happened. I just wanted to put that on record. I will never stop doing so, because South Africa is not isolated. With regard to the decisions, with regard to the decision of the Constitutional Court today, and it has said the Speaker has to decide the matter. In the past, how have we dealt with that issue here? I have faced 7 kind of vote of no confidence. How did we vote on the 7? No, you have tried your best, but you have failed. Now, why this time? Why this time you think you should do it differently? It's finder really, trying to see whether can you win on this one or not. What has gone wrong? Because that's how we've been voting. What is the problem? So my view is that we should do what we have done all the time in the past times, because I see no convincing reason why we should change. So if I might therefore say which one, in a manner in which we've been voting before, it has not been secret, and that's how we've voted. We've got instruments here to vote. Let us use those instruments. Why should, you are trying to get a majority you don't have by saying secret ballot. I think it's not fair, because you are trying to increase the majority you don't have. So that is my view. Let us vote the way we've been voting all the time. It will be the 8th time. I'm sure by the time we get to December, to be more than 10. Maybe it's your job as the opposition, even to try to find alternative methods, etc. Fact of the matter, you don't have the majority. And you are not going to have the majority. In 2019, the ANC will win once again because you don't have a majority. That is the problem. You can try. You can try. You can do everything. Unfortunately, you can go to court. The court will bring you back to the legislature. That's what will happen. That's my answer. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Maimane.
Mr. President, you said here the last time, you said the ANC will rule until it... The tragedy is that you've lost 4 metros. I want to discuss this matter as a matter of fact. The truth of the matter is that more South Africans are losing work under your presidency. The other truth is the fact that our state is now being run by a shadow state and funds are being channeled out of our country. What is also factually true is the fact that unemployment is on a permanent increase. What is factually true is the fact that we've been relegated to junk status under your presidency. What is factually true is that, in fact, I have issued to the Speaker proof that you sought through emails, through documents, to assist in business deals. So I am not here to say the ANC, who have already, they themselves have come out and said you should step down. I'm not asking for an unfair majority.
Honorable Maimane, your time is expired.
No, I want to ask a question.
But you must do it within...
Here it is. Does the president in fact believe he is the best person in the interest of South Africa to lead South Africa? Or should you not step down now?
Honorable Maimane, please in future stay within your allocated time. Don't add your own time. It becomes unfair on all other speakers here. Go ahead, Mr. President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It is absolutely true that the people of this country prefer the ANC to lead them up to this point. There's no doubt about it. No, don't ask the question when we have even taken more time. Listen to the answer. Otherwise, the junk state is not for the first time in South Africa, and there have been different reasons why it has. It has come and gone. Don't make it as if it is the first time when Zuma is the president, because there are specific issues. And there is no shadow government. We have a government that is ruling this country, no shadow government. We run it, we take decisions, and we've been dealing with matters as appropriately as possible, within the capacity, given every other thing. So, don't mislead the country to think that people don't want the ANC government. They love it. They love it. If you don't love it, there's nothing strange. You are in opposition. If you love the ANC, I can tell you, they will take you out of that leadership of yours, of the DA, if you did not. Now, the issue of the one that we are mentioning now, of the metros, I can tell you, if we went to elections now, you lose them. Because, no, absolutely. Because people realize the mistake they've made. And I can tell you, next elections, you'll never have these metros. Never.
Deputy Speaker.
Never. And I can tell, we can tell you why these metros were sort of tied. Because you talk as if you won them with slight majority. Not at all. You had to talk and beg other parties to help you form the municipality. That tells you it could have been for anyone. You had to do many things, not to sleep negotiating to get the parties to be on your side. In fact, you are being threatened by EFF that they may run away. You might find yourself out of it, in actual fact, because it is a small little thing of cooperation with other parties. So don't talk as if you won this with overwhelming majority. You know anytime you can lose it. No, before 2019, we are encouraging us to cause a re-election in these places so that we can take our thing back. Absolutely.
Deputy Speaker.
In any way, I think, the final question is, I think the people of South Africa did not make a mistake by electing me as the president of this country. I'm fit and I'm doing it very well. Thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable Member, what are you raising on?
Yeah, Deputy Speaker, I just wanted to know if the President is prepared to, accept the challenge. Let's go to elections earlier.
Honorable Member, that's not a point of order. Thank you. Honorable Members, the last question has been asked by Honorable Malchas to the President. Mr. President.
Honorable Speaker, the proposed National Social Security Fund will operate as a national fund responsible for administering mandatory contributions from all workers for the provision of retirement, death, and disability benefits. The proposals are under discussion at NEDLAC. The fund will serve as a single platform through which all workers can make regular social security contributions while they are still working to avoid falling into poverty in the event of retirement or disability. All income earners will be required to participate, and this will foster social solidarity and the sharing of risks among all workers. Furthermore, the fund will provide an income to the dependents of all contributors who happen to die before retirement. The benefits will be defined benefits where benefits are guaranteed in order to protect contributors and foster social solidarity. Those who earn low incomes will be supported through a contribution subsidy to reduce the burden on their disposable income. The benefit design of the fund is crucial for the protection of vulnerable workers in our country. At present, the existing retirement benefit schemes are based on defined contributions rather than defined benefits. This means that the contributors have no guarantee of how much their benefits will be, and they face the risk of losing their savings in the event of poor market performance. In contrast, the fund will carry the risk of poor investment performance on behalf of individual contributors and thus provide assurance of a guaranteed benefit to all workers and their households. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
So we mean much.
Anguboni, angibhekanga ngemva ngiyaxolisa. Hawu, Deputy Speaker, ngiyaxolisa.
Honorable Malgas, it's your chance.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I would like to thank the Honourable President for your reply, which was much appreciated by us as the ANC and the public within South Africa. When it comes to this fund, Honourable President, it's part of the policy of comprehensive social security that will definitely be a new game changer with far-reaching implications on the lives of our people in South Africa, providing the safety net for our vulnerable people and enhancing the lives of our people. And we know when it comes to this framework of social comprehensive social security, that it can't be implemented overnight. Now my question, Mr. President, it will be to you as a head of the executive and the cabinet. Has our ANC government or cabinet thought of a preliminary implementation plan
Deputy
for
Speaker,
this proposal.
How long is this minute going on for?
No, Honourable Member, there's a clock here. You have no business to be doing that.
Therefore, Mr. President, as our ANC government or cabinet thought of a preliminary implementation plan for this proposal or introduction of the National Social Security Fund. I thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Honourable President.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. As I said in my reply, this matter is under discussion at NEDLAC. The matters of its implementation will certainly be considered once the conclusions and agreements have been reached on the discussions that are ongoing. And certainly, I'm sure they will include the method of implementation of the program. So I'm sure once it is concluded, there will be a plan how to implement it. So it will come. Don't worry. Thank you very much.
Honourable Maimani.
Mr. President, social security is something that the DA will continue to fight for. And in this particular instance, that's why in the recent budget vote that took place here in Parliament, the DA proposed increasing the social grants by 4.5 billion rands. But that would be funded by cutting allocations to ministerial jets and VIP security for you and your cabinet, which I think is better for the people. So the question is, it's actually entirely affordable to do the right thing for our citizens, and the ANC voted against it. So I want to know, can you explain, at least to the people of South Africa, why the ANC chose VIP security instead of 4.5 billion rands for the people of this country who are most vulnerable?
President.
No, firstly, I'm sure, much as I was not in the room, in the house, and I'm sure that the ANC must have very good reasons to vote against you, because they are always logical, they always know, they are governing, they know how these matters are handled. Your proposal is likely to be not informed by what happens in government, because you don't know. The ANC knows very well why any provision that is in government is there. So they wouldn't vote with you when you make almost like your propaganda kind of thing to say, no, when we are there, we will increase everything. So ANC could vote on logic, on understanding of what happens in government. So I'm sure that's why they voted against you. Because if your proposal in the eyes of the ANC was reasonable and informed by what happens in government, I'm sure they would have voted with you. Absolutely. And the reason is simple. They voted because they realize you are not informed by what is happening in government. That's the reason. Simple. Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. Honourable Mwabe.
Sorry, Deputy Speaker, there's something wrong with my speaker button there, so I decided to press another button.
All right.
Thank you. Mr. President, allow me to welcome this noble initiative on the social security. Now, Honourable...
On a point of order, Deputy Speaker.
Yes,
I see the honourable members throwing some gestures to our honourable member. What is happening there?
Yeah,
can you rule?
Honourable members, please, let's be orderly. Let's be in order. The rules don't allow that.
Thank you,
Go
Deputy.
ahead, Honourable Member.
You know, Deputy Speaker, with all the matters that was brought to this House today in terms of the questions, very little time was spent dealing with the questions. More was on grandstanding, and that is what this House is all about. However, Mr. President, Now, like I said, this initiative is actually welcomed. I think it is long needed by the people of this country. Could you tell us, especially the farm workers that have repeatedly suffered because of the alcohol fetal syndrome that they have inherited by the Democratic Alliance farm owners, can you please tell us whether you're going to get these farm owners to buy into this process and pay into this fund?
Yes, what are you raising, honourable member?
The member is misleading the House. He cannot say that farmers is just owned by the Democratic Alliance.
No,
it's
honourable
members
member,
of the country that is insulting.
That's not
at
a
the
point of order. You're contesting politics. No, it's not. Go ahead, honourable member.
Mr. President, would you ensure that farm owners who are responsible for the challenges faced by the communities, especially in the Western Cape, as a result of being paid with alcohol, will contribute to this fund so that it makes it easier for government to compensate those? Thank you.
Honourable President.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Certainly, the discussions are not excluding any citizen. The citizens who are in difficulties, like the farm workers, they will be included in the discussions, and indeed, those who employ them will have to participate in ensuring that they are giving the salary that they can utilize to pay for these benefits. So that matter will be dealt with, because we want to change that kind of life. And I hope we are not still in that kind of situation where citizens are not earning liquor. I hope you are talking about what used to happen before. Because if it is still there, then that's a serious matter. Perhaps the discussion might have to concentrate even more on those, because we want all citizens, particularly those who work, to benefit from this fund. It's a matter of must. The time has passed where some citizens were excluded from some programs. So that matter will be dealt with, certainly. It must include them as well. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable Nkomo.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Honorable President, we are once again addressing the symptoms and not the causes. The question we should be asking is, are our current policies providing the poor and most vulnerable with enough opportunities through developmental programs to break the cycle of poverty and not the dependence on social assistance? Thank you.
President.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. We are certainly addressing those issues. All our programs and policies are changing the quality of lives of our people. And therefore, we are, in a broader sense and in some details, addressing those issues. The very fact that we have a lot of programs that are skilling our people, in capacitating them to make them participants in the economy is part of those programs. And there are many such programs. The only problem that we are dealing with, a huge problem that was created by those who were governing the country for many decades, if not centuries. We are dealing with that, but there are programs that deal with that, including the issue of the social grants. We have been saying we need to find a way wherein we take those who are healthy, who are there because of certain circumstances, to capacitate them so that they can be out of that program, so that we remain with those who really deserve to be part of the program. What we cannot do is to say today, because a person perhaps can do something, but in a sense, it's difficult to do so. We are not preparing them, because we'll be throwing that person into the misery. So the system is being done as part of dealing with changing their status and their capacity so that they can participate differently. So that is what we are doing. There are programs, a lot of them. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes the questions.
I thought, my friend, you were going to ask the question. I was going to give you the answer I'm having for you. But we'll talk next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable members, honorable members. Honorable members, before I request the Secretary to read the first order, I would like to remark that earlier on I said that Honorable Maimani's time is over. And subsequently, honorable members on my left called on Honorable Malhas for time. I want to point out that she actually stopped speaking with 14 seconds on the clock, which is there, which is controlled in front of us. Honorable Maimani went over by 14 seconds. And this was his own choice by overstepping the time allocated to him. It had nothing to do with who he is, because the impression given by calling on Honorable Malhas' time was suggesting that I had acted unfairly on Mr. Maimani. And I would like to make it very clear that members must please stay to the allocated time. When we do sometimes allow them to go over, it can't be for over 14, 15 seconds. It becomes unfair and unreasonable. I hope that we will act in that way consistently. Thank you. The Secretary will read the first order of the day.
Decision of question, consideration of Protected Disclosures Amendment Bill and report of Portfolio Committee on Justice and Correctional Services on amendments proposed by National Council of Provinces.
Honorable members, I wish to remind you that on Thursday, 15 June 2017, the decision of the question on the Protected Disclosures Amendment Bill, as amended by the National Council of Provinces, was postponed. Now that it is back here, we would like to, thank you, Mr. President. Are there any objections to the Protected Disclosures Amendment Bill as amended being passed? Yes. There being objections, I put the
You're watching SABC News. Of course, that was the live crossing to Parliament there, where President Jacob Zuma has just wrapped up taking questions from MPs this afternoon. Well, in the last hour, the new mining charter and land reform coming up. The President coming out in defence and support of the newly drafted mining charter. On the land issue, of course, he says he will be guided by government policy. He also touched on the so-called Gupta emails, saying Parliament is to investigate allegations of state capture contained in those leaked emails that implicate various ministers. No deadline has been set for the inquiry to begin, but President Zuma says they are working to establish the Commission of Inquiry as soon as possible. Zuma's son Duduzane and his links to the Gupta family coming up from opposition benches. The President saying it's not fair to constantly target Duduzane because he's a business person and the son of the President. Well, on the Concord ruling earlier, he says the ruling affirms the separation of powers and outlines what must be done in this matter. Well, the President also defended the mining charter, saying it empowers and allows black people to participate in industry. The reviewed charter has caused a great deal of uncertainty for stakeholders and the markets alike by setting new black ownership targets for the industry. The Chamber of Mines vehemently rejected it, saying that the department did not hold meaningful consultation before the introduction of some of the items, and thus it would approach the courts to interdict its implementation. Now, the targets include new mining rights holders having 30% black ownership to be shared